Welcome back, guys, to Bald Father Bets, where we won a bet on Monday night. Yeah, it was nice. We went 1-1, 2-2 in units, but at least we got a little bit of the monkey off our back. It's funny because when you look at the two games, we were on Chicago and we were on the Raiders. If you watch the two games, Chicago actually did some stuff, and they looked halfway decent. They just got stopped on a 4th and 1 at the Vikings 29. Had a touchdown called back from I think it was they didn't declare an eligible player. Same thing that happened to the Lions and the Cowboys, but this one was legit. They didn't do it. It was a real penalty. And then they had a strip sack fumble on their second drive when they got into the Vikings territory. But outside of that, they moved the ball. They looked a lot better. And the Raiders looked completely dead all night long against the Falcons, and they're the ones who ultimately got the cover. So you just never know with some of this stuff. You really never know. But anyway, we're going to come at you guys. That was our recap of Monday night. We're coming at you now with the Thursday night football pick, and then a little bit of talk in terms of what we have going with Friday and Saturday for college football playoff. So Thursday night tonight, this is a risk, but we like the Chargers minus the 2. Line keeps coming down. Line fell from -3 to -2.5 to -2. What you're seeing is you're seeing the public all over the Broncos, and why not? The Chargers have looked terrible the past couple of weeks. Broncos look good. And then you're seeing professionals who the rules. And once that line came under 3, they cannot lay off the Chargers. Chargers were leading at halftime against the Buccaneers, and then they just got completely blown out. And once the Chargers get behind by multiple scores, which they did against the prolific passing attack of the Buccaneers, by the way, wow, they can beat anybody right now. But once they got behind the prolific passing attack of the Buccaneers, they're just not built to come back from that. The Broncos, Jonathan Taylor, were about to go down 21-10 against the Colts, who we had. Jonathan Taylor dropped the ball before he crossed the end zone, bounced into the end zone, out of bounds, touchback for the Broncos. Broncos, I think, went on like a 21-0 run after that and ended up covering that spread. And we did not get the win there. That was a killer. It was funny because I looked up, I was like, oh, Jonathan Taylor scored. We're looking good there. And then I checked back and saw the score, and I was like, wait a second. They're supposed to have 21 points. What happened? And they did not. But the Broncos were not looking good up until that point, and that gave them a spark, and then they went ahead, played a really good rest of the game. This is a 9-5 Broncos team up against an 8-6 Chargers team. Both these teams looking to secure playoff position. The AFC seems like it's pretty much set. It'd be pretty hard for one of these teams who's currently in it to fall out. They'd have to essentially lose out with another team who's on the bubble kind of winning out to get in. But this one's big for position. Neither of these teams want to be in that last seed position where you have to start out playing against the 2 seed, who's most likely going to be the Bills. And then if you win that up in Buffalo in snowy, cold weather, your reward is that you get to go play the Chiefs in Arrowhead. So, both these teams are absolutely looking to avoid that, especially the Chargers. Denver, they could play in the elements a little bit better than the Chargers. They're used to it playing in Denver outdoors. Obviously, Chargers playing in SoFi in Los Angeles. They probably wouldn't fare too well in January against the Bills, and then in January, if they're able to get through that, and then in January at Arrowhead against a team and a quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, who's absolutely owned them as a franchise since his time in the AFC West. So this is a big one for both teams. It's a little bit bigger for the Chargers. Ladd McConkey playing for the Chargers, defense healthy for the Chargers, and that's really where we like this. This is going to be a ground game. Both these coaches, Sean Payton and Harbaugh, are very hard-headed when it comes to the ground game. They both want to win, and they both have a certain way that they want to win. They're not a multiple offense type person. They want to beat you on the ground game, let that open up a play action pass, and then go from there. A lot of people associate Sean Payton as a spread option team, which they ran a lot of with Drew Brees, but a lot of that had to do with the personnel that they had. Make no mistake about it, Sean Payton's best teams run the ball first. That's really what the foundation of their offense is built on. Harbaugh, obviously, I think everyone knows, he is going to run the ball. We like the Chargers here. We're going to do this one for 5 units. So again, with our base unit right now being 2 units a game, that means that we have some pretty significant like in this. If we were back where our base units was 3 units a game, that means this would be a 10-unit play. So right now this is a 5-unit play for us, and we like it quite a bit. Looking ahead into this college football playoff, these lines are very interesting. First thing I want to talk about is the favorite money line parlay. I usually would tell you absolutely not. This is a little different. If you think there will not be an upset, the favorite money line parlay here is not the worst thing in the world. But you need to get 2-to-1 odds, because depending on what book you're at, you're getting very different money line odds on these games. And they are factoring in the money line parlay into how they're laying out these odds and into how they're laying out these spreads. They know it's going to be a very popular bet this weekend and Friday and Saturday. If you're able to get through the first 2 games, if you're able to get through Indiana over Notre Dame, you're able to get through SMU, Penn State, and you're able to get through Clemson, Texas. So the first 3 games, you're then going to have a decent cash out option, or you're going to have a decent option to hedge Tennessee money line to win the game. And so you can guarantee yourself some cash. The problem is getting through those first 2. I don't think it's possible. I know I'm a Texas grad, but honestly, in terms of very objective analysis, it would be a shocker if Clemson beat Texas. Clemson relies heavily on explosive plays, and Texas is the best defense in college football, limiting explosive plays at essentially every level: 10 yards, 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards. I think they're 1 at 10-yard plus plays, 2 at 20-yard plus plays, 6 at 30-yard plus plays, and 1 at 40-yard plus plays. So that is what, like, they lock you down, they put you in a phone booth, and then make you execute from there. It's why they've been successful against everyone else but Georgia, because Georgia's very comfortable playing in a phone booth. I just don't see it with Clemson. The other ones, though, like there is absolutely a world where Indiana beats Notre Dame, and there is absolutely a world where SMU beats Penn State. The Indiana-Notre Dame game, the cold's not a factor. They're from the same state. The Penn State-SMU game, the cold is absolutely a factor, but SMU is a much more prolific team than people realize. And outside of getting smacked in the mouth in that first quarter against Clemson, I mean, they won the quarters after that. They were the better team after that. They just couldn't recover from that first quarter. And it's Penn State is a very good team. They're not they don't hit as hard as a Georgia or a Texas or South Carolina's defensive line this year. They're not going to shock SMU is my point. Playing in Happy Valley, noon, 20 degrees may shock SMU, but they're not behind the competition, and this is my point. And Rhett Lashley is a hell of a coach. And James Franklin is not. So that if there is worry that you're going to get stopped at Indiana's going to beat Notre Dame or SMU is going to beat Penn State. But if you get through those, then you're probably going to get through Texas, Clemson, and then you're going to have that hedge cash out option with Ohio State, Tennessee. But make sure you get 2-to-1 odds if you lay the money line parlay. Now, looking at the individual games, there's a few things here that are very telling in terms of these lines. I'm gonna do 2 comparisons. I'm gonna do Indiana, Notre Dame compared to Tennessee, Ohio State. Public coming in all over Indiana against Notre Dame so far. Public coming in all over Tennessee against Ohio State so far. You've seen the Notre Dame line drop from 7 to 7.5. Now it's 7, meaning that the books are concerned about the leverage they have to Indiana. Public coming all in on Tennessee, line stayed at 7.5, meaning that the books are not as concerned about the leverage that they have to Tennessee. Now that could be in particular to offset the leverage that they have in terms of Ohio State to win the national championship. Preseason, after the Michigan loss, tons of tickets on Ohio State to win the national championship, so they may be looking to even that out. But most of the time, they don't take futures into account in individual gameplays. So it's interesting that they seem to be concerned about their leverage to Indiana, and they do not seem to be concerned about their leverage to Tennessee. That's something that's quite telling. Texas Clemson, least bet game so far. Out of people just don't have that much interest in that spread. Spread's super big. Public, in terms of the number, seems to be coming in on Clemson. The actual large size bets are coming in on Texas, which is why you see that number grow and grow and grow and grow. Most models have that one at Texas like 14. So it's gone from Texas 11, 10 and a half, 11, 11 and a half, and now some books have it at Texas minus 12. I think you'll continue to see it grow up until kickoff, somewhere around that 13 and a half range. And once it gets to, if it were to get to 14, you'd get pretty strong buyback on Clemson, because that's a key number. And you're starting to get to a point where, Texas kind of scores between 17 and 24 points every game. So if you have them laying 14, then you pretty much think they're going to hold Clemson to 3 or 6 or 7. And Clemson's better than that. Let's be honest, guys. So at some point, this thing gets to too many points. But right now, it's probably right exactly where it should be, to where you can't have too much confidence in either side on that one. SMU Penn State, I kind of talked about that already. I have a weird feeling, and I'm someone who thinks that Penn State's one of the top 5 teams in the country, but SMU is good. They're very good, and they're very strong at the line of scrimmage. And James Franklin's all over himself in so many situations. And if it was not for the 20-degree weather, this would be actually one of the first money line plays I've ever given out in public, because I've never given a money line play in public before, because we don't bet money lines here. If it was not for the cold weather, I would be on SMU money line. The cold weather is so much of a factor, though, that I'm not even convinced in SMU plus the points right now. We're still monitoring this one. I've been very surprised at essentially, we've been at 8.5 and 9 this whole time. There's zero line movement on this one at all. I'm actually pretty shocked, but I expect some line movement on that one come Saturday morning, because it's the first game. It's the noon game. But obviously, we'll be back at you guys tomorrow for our Notre Dame Indiana pick, and then we'll be back at you guys Saturday for the 2 NFL games where Patrick Mahomes is playing. So if you're one of those people who took the Chiefs plus the 3 when he was questionable, good on you. Congratulations. I was not bold enough to do it, given that it could have been a Carson Wentz game, but good on you. And then we also have the 3 playoff games. But enjoy Thursday Night Football. Everyone have a good night. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the holiday season, and appreciate you for supporting the channel. Thanks.